Good morning. This is English 11 reading, period 2. I haven't been able to make videos for a little while. I've been having some computer problems, but I will try to make them now, especially on days that we don't meet. So I just want to make sure everybody gets caught up and knows what's going on. So please watch this short video. We are going to, how do I go to the next one here? Oh, God. Today's December 7th, and as usual, I'll be having my office hours, so come to office hours from 1 to 3, Leap Doyle. Love to see you there. If you have any questions, if you want to improve your grade, come on over. Don't forget to take your attendance. I'll just show you that slide quickly. I'll talk a little bit about independent reading. We'll review the vocabulary words, and then I'm going to show you the next step in the literary analysis essay, okay? So, take attendance, go on to campus and do your attendance, please. Don't forget to do that. Don't forget independent reading. So I brought books to several students, and other students have told me they have a book. I'm going to be checking in with you about those next week. So I'm going to schedule a meeting with everybody and have you tell me a little bit about the book you're reading. Sorry, I'll talk slower. Have you tell me about the book you're reading. So if you don't have a book yet, come to office hours and we can talk about how to get one. If you do have a book, start reading it, and we'll check in next week. Okay? The new vocabulary words for the second part of the paper menagerie, you can click here and it will take you to the Quizlet. Also have a couple of words for our essay. So the first one, analysis, that's what we're writing, a literary analysis. The next word is evidence. The next word is cite, and then some words from the story. Pounce. That's mime, when you try to communicate just using your body without using words. My computer's going slow. Attic is the room at the top of the house. A lot of houses have an attic, or kind of an old, dusty, unfinished room at the top of the house. And I can't see the rest of them for some stupid reason, but there's a couple more there, so I will, those are in Schoology, and I will be making the quiz soon to study those. So we read the story called The Paper Menagerie, and I'll be putting up the video of me reading it soon. And now we're doing our first writing assignment for English 11, which is a quarter 2, which is a literary analysis essay. And we've been talking about it in the class. When we meet, we're going to meet tomorrow. No, we meet on Wednesday for period 5, December 9th. No, we meet for period 2 on Wednesday, December 9th at 10:30. So I hope to see you there. And we'll be working on this essay. But before then, what I'd like you to do is work on the literary analysis essay. So our question is, what is the theme of the paper menagerie, the story we read? And the assignment is to analyze the short story by examining the story and finding 2 or more themes of the story that relate to one another, the author's decisions about setting, plot, and character development that affect the story's meaning, details about the plot or characters the author leaves out or leaves uncertain and how that affects the story, and then we're going to cite evidence to support our response. So just to remind you, the story starts with the narrator's earliest memory. He remembers when he was a little boy and he was crying. He said that my earliest memory is of me sobbing. And then his mom makes him a paper origami tiger. And it makes him feel better, and it seems like it comes alive. It starts purring and jumping around. Then we find out that his dad got his mom from a catalog. So he looked for her in a magazine, a lot of pictures of women and stuff. And he decided he wanted to marry her. So he went over to Hong Kong and met her and brought her back to the United States. We learned that his mom made a lot of animals out of paper. That's the paper menagerie. Remember, a menagerie is a collection of animals. When they moved to a new house, some neighbors came over and they were saying really mean things. They didn't know that the narrator, the young boy in the story, understood English because they knew that the mom didn't understand English. So they were saying mean things about them, but the boy heard it all. Then a friend of his comes over and he thinks that these little origami things are just trash. He says, "Show me your toys." And the narrator shows him his origami, his little paper animals. And the guy says, "Ah, that's just garbage." Um, and then he doesn't really tell us about school, but he does one night ask his dad, "Do I have a chink face?" And remember, we talked about how chink is a bad word, it's a slur, it's a nasty word to call somebody from Asia. And so we can assume or infer that people at school have been calling him chink. And this starts to make him angry. And he starts showing his anger at his mom because she doesn't speak English. She only speaks Chinese. My wife is yelling. I don't know if you can hear her. So his dad tries to help. He buys him some Star Wars toys, but he still refuses to talk to his mom. He says, "Don't speak to me in Chinese. Don't speak to me in Chinese." So the mom basically stops talking because she doesn't know enough English. But she does study English. And later on, when he's a little bit older, her English is better, but he still doesn't talk to her because he's a typical American teenager who doesn't want to talk to his parents, thinks his parents are stupid. He picks up all the animals and puts them away in the attic. And then some time passes in the story, and he's at the hospital. His mom is sick, and his mom is trying to talk to him. And she asks him to, she has one request, and she says, on the day, the Chinese day for honoring the dead, will you take out those box of animals? Because when you take the box of animals out, it'll be like I'm alive a little bit. And he says, "Yeah, I'll try maybe." And then he goes back, he leaves, he goes to college, and while he's flying, his mom dies. There's an important part of the story where the mom says to him, "If I say love, I feel it here. But if I say I, which is the Chinese word for love, I feel it here," right? And she puts her hand over her heart. So after his mom's dead and his dad is getting older, so they move him out of his house. He finds the old animals that he had, and he finds the old tiger, the first thing she ever made him. And when he opens it, he sees that his mother wrote him a letter. It's in Chinese because she said, "I need to speak from my heart." He asks somebody to read it for him. He has to go find somebody who speaks Chinese, and she reads him the letter. And the letter is all about his mom's life and how unhappy it was, and how several of her parents and grandparents were killed by the Chinese government. She grew up alone. She went to Hong Kong and lived with a terrible family. And then she finally got to the United States. And when she had her son, she said she felt so happy. She'd never felt so happy because she could see her eyes in his face. She could see her hair in his head, on his hair. And then she said, "When you stopped talking to me, it was the worst thing that ever happened." She can't write anymore because of the pain. And then as he's walking home, the tiger starts purring. So it's a little bit like his mom is alive. Okay, so that's the story. And we are now writing an essay about it. So the first thing I asked you to do was to think of some themes in the paper menagerie, and these are some that some students came up with. And so we're going to work on writing an essay that talks about these themes and how they connect with each other and how they are connected to choices the author made. So I have a sheet in Schoology called Name Literary Analysis Essay. There's a link to this in Schoology. When you click on the link, it will ask you to make a copy because, I want everybody to have their own. So you'll make a copy, and when you open it, you'll see that we've already started working on it. So we picked 2 themes together that students identified. This is the assignment that we're working on. The first theme is the culture of your parents is a part of you, and you shouldn't deny it. That means pretend it's not real. Pretend that you're not what your parents are. So this seems like it's an important message that the story is telling us. And these are some sort of parts of the story that help us know. These are just choices the author made to help us see this meaning. And then the other theme that we chose is the author shows that kids have to listen to their parents. Kids should make connections with their parents when they're alive so they won't be sorry when they're not around anymore because it's too late. And here are some reasons why we think that was a theme of the story. So we wrote the first paragraph together. The first paragraph of our essay is, there are two important themes in The Paper Menagerie by Ken Lau. One theme is, the culture of your parents is a part of you and you shouldn't deny it, right? That's from right here. Another theme is that the author shows that kids have to listen to their parents. Kids should make connections with their parents before it's too late. And then the last sentence says, these themes are connected because they both are about how important parents are in our lives, right? So we're trying to write an essay that shows how two themes are connected to each other. And the way these two themes are connected to each other is they're both about parents, right? This one is about your parents' culture, and this one is about making a connection with parents. So those are the messages that the author is trying to show. So what I'd like you to do is write the next paragraph. So the next paragraph is going to be about one of the themes. So remember, when we look at the assignment, we have to cite evidence, okay? So how do we know that there's a theme, the culture of your parents is a part of you and you shouldn't deny it? We can say, in the story, the boy, the narrator, has a mom who is Chinese. She doesn't speak English. Okay. And then we want to say how we know that part of the theme is that you shouldn't deny your parents' culture. You shouldn't try to say, well, my mom is Chinese, but I'm not, right? And how do we do that? Well, we can just take these things. The boy has a Chinese mom. People make fun of him. He starts to hate Chinese, right? You can just add these, write sentences that include this information in the second paragraph here. Okay, I started it for you. You can write 3 or 4 more sentences. When you're done, put it in Schoology, and we'll talk about it when we have class on Wednesday. Okay? So your assignments for this class are to study those vocabulary words and take the vocabulary quiz when it's ready. Read your independent reading book. Make sure you have an independent reading book, and then write the second paragraph of the essay. Any questions? Halima? Any questions? No? Okay, come to my office hours. Send me a message if you have any questions, and I will see you later. How do I turn this off now?